And there we go. Okay, so welcome everyone to the Q&A portion of our fall virtual tours. My name is Lizzie Gray and I'm one of the project coordinators for Connected Lane County. Today I am joined by a few members of the Urban Lumber team. Welcome everyone. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Olivia. I'm the project manager at Urban Lumber Company.
Awesome.
I'm Nick Brusnock. I'm the creative director here at Urban Lumber.
Sweet.
My name's Seth, and I'm the owner here at Urban Lumber.
Awesome. Thank you. And gentlemen, if you could speak up just a tiny bit, that would be helpful, I think. Okay, so before we start, I just want to remind all the students who are tuning in that by now you should have watched the pre-recorded tour video of Urban Lumber. Olivia would have sent that link to you yesterday. So it's about 30 minutes long. If you have not watched it, please make sure to do so after this Q&A session. And as always, while these three and I are chatting, we can't see or hear you, but if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box and we will make sure that we address all the questions that come through before the end of this Q&A. So I'm gonna start us off with a question for all three of you. I know that you described it kind of briefly in the tour video, but how did you all wind up at Urban Lumber? Maybe just like a quick synopsis of your careers before landing here.
Sure. Well, I started Urban Lumber close to 15 years ago, and I started it basically when I was a teenager looking for wood to build handmade custom longboard skateboards. I started seeing all these salvaged city trees around Eugene. I started milling them up for skateboards, and one thing led to another. When I started collecting a lot of the trees and selling the lumber and building furniture, here we are.
Super.
Well, I was in web design before this and always had an interest in furniture, and I know how to use computers pretty well. And so when an opportunity popped up to do more 3D modeling, especially with furniture, I totally jumped on it. I've been here for about 2.5 years now, and yeah, it's been fantastic.
Awesome.
I had my own media services business back in Pennsylvania, and when I moved here, I wanted to kind of conform it all into one client, and I found Seth about a month from moving here, and now I get to do all the fun art things that I love to do, all for, you know, an awesome company.
Cool. Very cool. Did any, out of the three of you, did anybody have to have any advanced schooling or like certification or anything for your current role?
I think that yeah, a lot of us have different skill sets that have helped a lot. I actually went to a trade school to learn the AutoCAD program, which I still use a lot every day here for drawing furniture designs and figuring out materials. And both of these guys have done some schooling to learn things that we use every day here, so I'll let them tell about that.
Sweet.
Yeah, I went to a four-year university and majored in art and design. Through that program, I was able to learn a few software that would help me later on, but most of the software that I've learned for this job, I've learned outside of school. I use SketchUp every day, and that's something that is free to start, and you can upgrade to do a commercial license with. Cool.
It's a great recommendation.
I have a bachelor's in TV and film and graphic design. And just going to school, they give you at least all the tools and time that you need to kind of find your own voice and build what you want to build.
Cool. TV and film. That's interesting. Do you use any of that skill set in your current job or what you learned in school?
We're always making as many videos as possible. It's kind of one of our favorite things to do when it comes to content creation. It always gets the best feedback, and a lot of the stuff kind of needs the video to show how awesome the projects we are doing here. So
Yeah, are those usually like promo videos or videos that go on our Facebook?
I would consider all the videos a promo video, but we never are really like, I wouldn't consider it an advertisement though. It's kind of just, hey, this is what we're doing right now. You got to check this out because it's either amazing, completely unique, or hilarious. So
Nice.
We also use the videos for, you know, like a presentation to a big client. Nick has helped with both
Oh,
video and video media presentations that we've presented to big architects and designers or city government or different things like that. And so that's been really helpful.
yeah, that makes sense.
we just made a
Oh yeah.
few videos of our projects with Make-A-Wish Foundation. So if anyone has time, you should check them out because they're pretty great. If
Wait,
anyone remembers MTV Cribs, there's a cool MTV Cribs video up now.
wait, seriously?
Yeah, Seth here built a tiny home for an 11-year-old's birthday. And so we did a spoof of MTV Cribs showing it off. It's really great.
Was the video like 20 seconds long?
No, it's actually like 5 minutes long.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh.
There's a
Can
lot
you-
to show.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that project? I had no idea.
Yeah, it was really cool. So there's a local kid here in Eugene, a kid named Cohen, who was born with some heart issues and has had a tough go of it, but he got on the Make-A-Wish list, and his wish was that he could have his own backyard space, like a fort. So we decided to go all out and essentially build him a tiny house on a trailer that we pulled over to his house and parked in his backyard and delivered it on his 11th birthday, which was super cool. And we just decked it out. A mini fridge and a flat screen TV, and he can sleep out there and cook food and hang out with his friends and his dog. And it was just really, really cool to do. He's a great kid. It's a cool cause. And actually, we're now on our 3rd Make-A-Wish project this year. We did another one for a kid in Paloma, helping him set up a wood shop and helping him with some wood stuff. And now we're currently working on a music studio for a 4-year-old music prodigy over in Yachats.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, all on the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So all kids who have had a tough time this year and in the past and are super deserving of some good stuff and some hope. And we're really happy to help with that.
That's super, super cool. So not all businesses would jump on an opportunity like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about like why community is important to you, or as a business owner and not just an individual?
Sure. Well, we're all community members. A lot of us have kids and have families, and I have a few kids, and so I like to help kids when I can in particular. And, you know, we're not able to help with every single thing, but I felt like the Make-A-Wish project in particular was a way that we could use our skills and our gifts and our resources to make a big difference. So it feels good to use what we have to give back.
Yeah, I bet, especially to kids.
Yeah,
That's pretty
we've
cool.
made great connections, and it's been really positive, a positive thing to do.
That's awesome.
We worked on that project in particular right through kind of the depths of COVID shutdown. So it was a tough time in general, but it was a really uplifting project to be working on during that time.
No kidding. No kidding. That's super, super cool. We have a question in the chat from a student. The student who typed this in, FYI, cannot see your name because you're still just a number. But they would like to know what your plan is for the future. And I might expand upon that question or tweak it just a little bit to ask, like, what's your guys' goal as a business for the next 6 months or the next year? Do you have any concrete goals?
Sure. Right now we're working on a really large order for a lifestyle brand. So we're helping develop a furniture line for a lifestyle brand. And it's extensive for us. It's a lot of pieces, and it's a lot of stuff that's going out all over the country and the world.
Jeez.
So it's pretty cool for us to be doing that. That's new for us and big this year.
So once you do that, are those pieces, can people order the same piece? Like once they see that featured in that lifestyle brand, could I say I want that exact desk? And then you make me another one?
Yeah, we're repeating the same pieces, and they're still handmade, hardwood, but they're repeatable and orderable online through this designer.
Cool. Very
This
nice.
is the first time that's ever happened, though, right? That we've ever
Yeah, we've done
reproduced.
a lot of work for designers and some small little runs and things and some custom pieces.
Mhm.
This is the time for us as a production line.
Nice. Very cool. Well, the chat box is active. So Wyatt would like to know, where did your company start? Did you start in Springfield?
Yeah, I did. Like I said before that, I was building longboard skateboards just out of my garage. And I actually started with a booth at the Saturday market when I was 19 years old, selling those. And from there, over the years, it morphed into urban lumber. And I started here in Springfield, and that was in 2006. So about 14 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm super jealous that you got a booth at the Saturday market. How did you manage that?
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, did you just show up, or did you go through a process to get a booth?
Oh, there's a whole process.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to apply for it, and then there's a bunch of regulations as far as your booth size and space, and you gotta have a fireproof tarp and an extinguisher and all the things, you know, to be safe and be able to sell there.
That makes sense.
So it's cool.
So what kind of pieces were you bringing to the Saturday market? That was post longboard and into furniture?
No, that was all skateboards.
Oh, okay,
Just all-
okay. Cool,
That was-
that's awesome.
That was before urban lumber started, but those are the roots.
Very cool. So got a couple more. This is great. What are some of the challenges you have faced while working at Urban Lumber? And I'm sure they will probably be different for each of you. Maybe there's a huge problem.
Start over here.
That's a tough question. So I guess my job has like morphed a lot depending on how busy we are. So when I started, we were doing a lot of more residential stuff and getting into some really big commercial, like huge conference tables. One of the things we are most well known for is doing like 20-foot long conference tables, which are super fun to design and super fun to figure out how to like fold down into going into an elevator. And so I think that maybe like, I think that maybe like learning those kinds of design challenges are some of the things that I've had to adapt most on the job. Like I know when I started in web design, I wouldn't have expected that I had to figure out how to like make an instruction sheet to put together a 20-foot long conference table.
Right.
That's what I'm doing sometimes. And it's been really fun to figure out how to make that the easiest instructions possible, because we're not always there to build it on site. And yeah, it's really fun working with the crew on that too, because it's like putting together like the largest puzzle I could possibly think of.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Way to be adaptable. We learned about that skill 2 weeks ago in a webinar.
Super important.
Yeah, super important. What about you, Nick?
I think the extent of my problems usually come within like time. Say we have a big presentation to do, it might, have come out of nowhere, and suddenly I'm making a 24-page catalog and getting it printed and making sure that it's right and bound right in a week. So a lot of time crunches like that. I wouldn't say a lot, but now we have enough content that we could be on the fly. If something really came up, we can use something that we've already had.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say for me that I'm always working on is just outreach. There are so many platforms out there right now that everyone's so spread out, whether it be social media or email or, how do you get the word out with so many things going on? So we're constantly experimenting, and like, honestly, we have had plenty of failures too. But we're constantly working on just more people need to know about us. So
Yeah. What would you say the 2 most successful avenues are that you all use to reach people?
I would say our Instagram. We're so visually driven that Instagram's just perfect for us.
That makes sense.
Our newsletters too. We always have like a good a good army of lumberjacks and Jills that are reading our content that we send out. So
Nice.
people that do know us are just really loyal fans, constantly communicating back and forth with us, and it's always nice to
Cool.
communicate back. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Seth, not to skip you, but the chat box is popping. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Let me just scroll up to find it. So what, so Seth, you mentioned that you saw a bunch of trees going unused. So that may have sparked this interest in building furniture. What else got you interested, I guess, to Seth in starting this company? And then to Olivia and Nick, what got you interested in coming to work for Seth?
I think for me, it's always exciting to think about being your own boss and being creative for a job, getting to use those trees and use your hands and your creativity and your mind to build cool stuff. That was always the goal and the dream, and I'm really proud that we're there now. It wasn't always that way. I didn't start that way. I had to work up to it. So that's one of the cool things for me about how and why I started.
Cool.
One of the best parts of the job still.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, for me, I've always wanted to work in furniture. I've really enjoyed learning about different design techniques over the years, and it's like sculpture you get to use in your house, and that's super interesting to me. I like functional design, and when I saw the ad on Craigslist, actually, that's how I found the job. I leapt at the opportunity to work somewhere that was local, that was custom design. That's something that isn't really common, and is super sustainable. Like I don't know very many other companies that have all of their wood from like 100-mile radius and build everything in-house. It's kind of really unique in that sense, and that was extremely attractive. So
yeah, that was one thing I was going to say also. I'm really passionate about the use of the trees and the salvage. It's not always the easiest way to go, but we have beautiful material here. I'm really proud of the fact that we salvage trees, and that the material that we use to build furniture that we hope will be around for years and years, hundreds of years, was otherwise not going to be used. So we're giving it a second life.
That's awesome.
I would say, well, coming into this, I had no experience in woodworking or furniture design. And I was more attracted to the mindset of the place. It's so morally driven and family oriented. I mean, I immediately caught on to the passion and became a loyal fan myself. So it was so fun to learn everything, and I felt like I learned it pretty fast, especially because I'm talking to the public about what's going on. So I definitely need to know what I'm talking about. But now I love it. It's like sometimes as a designer or a creative influence for a brand or a company, you have to be a chameleon in a way. You really have to open your mind and learn as much as you possibly can on whatever project you're working on. You could go from, making beer labels to working in a theater company so now I work in furniture and I love it.
Sweet. That's awesome. George would like to know, what do you like best about Urban Lumber? So maybe for the employees, what's your favorite part about working at Urban Lumber?
I would say, because it is so family oriented, I haven't worked with a team like this in a long time. And I love that it's always a constant collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such like a mutual respect that is here, where like Seth is the ultimate, his own boss, but like I feel like I'm managing my own stuff here, just like Liv is working her own stuff here. But I really like that me and Seth can sit down and have a serious meeting about what's coming up next, and then we go and jump on a motorcycle and ride off into the woods, you know. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Motorcycles, not just
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Olivia?
Yeah, I would definitely say the crew. The people that work here are all extremely talented, and we all have like very different skills. So it makes the collaboration extremely unique. It's really fun to be able to sit down and have construction meetings about how a table base is going to attach to a tabletop, and then, you know, like be able to have lunch together and tell like great jokes. It's just a really fun place to work, and everybody is, like Nick said, extremely independent and capable of holding their own.
Mm-hmm.
We get stuff done, and it always feels good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, everybody's a professional in their own field. They're really good at what they do, but still nice people, and we have a great time along the way, which is important to me as the leader of it all. That's as important as the work we're doing, I think.
Yeah, and that,
where we want to be.
that probably weighs pretty heavily on your hiring decisions. When you do have open positions, I'm sure that comes into play big time, that you're looking for the right fit of employee to keep the culture what it is.
I wouldn't describe it as cliquey, but if someone comes in with an ego, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. So it's, you know, it kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah. Nope, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Holy Moses. Okay. If you had a choice, would you go back and do anything differently? And I'm going to gear that back towards careers and just make sure that what you would do differently has to do with your professional career this far. Any regrets?
I wouldn't. Not that you do it perfect the first time. You know, you were talking about resilience and being able to adapt, and that's huge. That's one of the biggest skill sets that we all possess, I think, here, and it's what helps us stay successful and as people and in the company and in our jobs. So I don't have any regrets. I'm excited to see what still happens, because I couldn't have predicted this a few years ago, and who knows what will happen, but I'm definitely down to find out. And I think that's important, no matter what you're doing or any schooling you're going into. Like Nick just said a few minutes ago, whether you're studying to be, you know, to do video, he's put those skills to use in a furniture company, and it's important to be resilient.
Nice. Any major regrets in your lives? Or do you just echo what he said?
Yeah, no. I would say that, like, I'm from the Midwest, and I moved out here after college. I had lived my entire life in Michigan, and I took a leap of faith to move out here and just try an internship, and I ended up staying and finding this job, and I wouldn't regret taking a leap of faith into something either. Like I always wanted to work at a furniture company, but the Midwest isn't really known for a lot of their, you know, hardwood, and it's not as you know, widely known there to do furniture design as it is out on the West Coast. So if you like have an opportunity to do something wild and you're up for it, like it's always worked out for me.
Nice.
Yeah. Be brave. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Trust in yourself and your skills, and take a chance. And
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, it's always worth trying something.
Yeah, and Olivia, I think I would add it sounds like you took an informed and educated risk.
Yeah.
You didn't just launch into the deep end. You did it with like 2 arm floaties.
Right. I already had a college like degree under my belt, and I was moving out here for an internship.
Right.
So I planned it kind of.
Nice. How old would someone have to be in order to work at Urban Lumber? Do you have an age requirement?
No, not really. I think the legal age is like 15.
Yeah.
If I'm, we're in on average a fairly young crew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm turned 40, and I think I'm the old guy here pretty much. No, I think if you are of the legal age to work and have transportation or a way to get here, those are some of the main things.
Yeah. So we have a question here that says, say that you make stuff like, wait, forts to skateboard and tables. Okay, so it sounds like you guys make stuff like skateboards and tables, but have you ever made like woodworking things like statues of animals or creatures or any other forms of statues? Is anybody a woodworker?
Yeah, occasionally we made a giant wooden cartoon narwhal to go on the to go on the front of a ship, a pirate ship that's actually a play structure at a children's museum here in Eugene at the Valley River Center at the Adventure Children's Museum upstairs. We built this really cool pirate-themed play structure, and we capped it off with a wooden narwhal.
That's amazing. I did not expect you to have an answer to that.
We've done that's not our normal thing, and that might have been the only one, but we're open for it.
That's super cool.
I mean, the whole pirate ship is a work of art in itself. It is a giant pirate ship monument that looks like Urban Lumber built it. There's a really good video on that too.
Are those on a Facebook or YouTube? Where are those housed if students wanted to watch?
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Cool. Okay. Everybody go check it out. How do you determine how much lumber or materials you need for a project?
Well, that's kind of hard because it takes a really long time for the lumber to dry. So when we mill up a log into lumber, we're speculating what we're going to use it for a couple years later, because that's about how long it takes before we can use it. So we cut things in anticipation of projects, and it always changes. And we try to have enough material on hand that we have some flexibility there. But then when we're getting closer to that the specific project, like Olivia was just working on a drawing for that music studio where she was making a count of all the materials that we're going to need so that we can be prepared and make sure we have enough of everything on hand. And that's one of the ways she works together with the shop to come up with those materials.
Nice. There's a question here asking roughly how many projects do you all have going at once? And maybe not the projects that you can like see coming down the pike, but instead what's going on in your like operation and facility right now?
Well, okay. So it's my job to make sure that I know exactly what's going on. Currently, we're working on, I want to say like 7 to 10 projects currently. We work in batches. If we have the same design going on, we want to do as many of that design as possible at the same time. So then we have somebody milling the same chair leg, 20 times instead of just once, and then going to another design. So we're currently working on one set of 20 chairs, and then we have, we're making a sliding door right now. We're making somebody's dining table. We have a lot of different projects with a lot of different materials going on constantly, but any given day is about like 7 or so projects.
Nice. So what was the hardest project your company has made? So maybe most challenging. Was it the pirate ship?
No, the pirate ship wasn't too bad. We had a lot of creative freedom on that, so we had a lot of fun with it. It had its challenges because we had to get this 20-foot long pirate ship to the second floor of the Valley River Center. So we drove that thing through the mall on a scissor lift at 6 in the morning and lifted it up over a railing. So that had its challenges.
Holy smokes.
But I would say the most challenging project we've done was one that we did last year for Oregon State University. It was this enormous 3-story staircase built out of old reclaimed beams. It was massive. Each stair tread was huge. Started about 15 or 16 feet wide and got bigger as it went up through the different levels to
Oh, yeah.
over 30 feet long, and it was just the physical size of the pieces and the changes on the project. There was like 900 changes to the project over the course of the year, and it was tricky. It was really tricky. Specialty tools and everything hard to handle. So that was a tough one.
Yeah, that sounds tough. That sounds really tough. One of my favorite parts from the video was when you showed us all the pool floaties you had,
Yeah.
all the noodles, and that you saw it at Walmart with your daughter, and you were like, oh, we need to get those. We need to get those to ship the shelf. That's
Yeah,
pretty
around here.
yeah. Yeah. Here's a question. Ooh, what does the growth and development look like? And maybe, I wonder if they mean growth and development of employees or of the like company itself. So I'll let you answer that however you interpret it.
Okay, well, we are always looking to get into new markets and try new things and grow the company as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always personally trying to make it a better place to work, and I think that helps attract better people all the time to work here, and it makes it a place that folks like me want to work and make a career of it. I don't know. We're always looking to use our skills for the best way possible. So just like I said, how we use them for the Make-A-Wish project, I can see urban lumber going more into doing some projects where we can use our skill set to build out more spaces as opposed to just furniture.
Mm-hmm.
We end up doing a lot of work for restaurants and hotels and things, and we're always the happiest when we get to do what we do best and do a lot of it. So I think we're going to continue to move that way.
Nice. Very cool. What materials do you use besides the trees that you salvage?
We incorporate a lot of steel in our work, a lot of metal work. So we have our own metal shop, which you should have seen in the video, and that stays busy.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, we just started a leather department. We've been incorporating leather into some of these chairs we're building for that designer. And we started with just a couple samples and trying to figure it out. And now we've got huge orders for leather, and we're buying lots of hides of leather and just hired a few people to work in the new leather department.
Cool.
And so, yeah, same with upholstery. We're doing more and more upholstery as well.
That's
So
awesome.
That's something other than new for us.
Nice. And wasn't, oh, sorry, Nick, were you gonna say something?
Well, I was just going to say that it worked out so serendipitously that our Millwright actually had leatherwork experience.
Yep.
So when when the question came in, he was actually able to kind of take it off the ground, and it's grown a lot since then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's actually what I was gonna say is, sorry, bad question. Is a Millwright the same thing? It's not the same thing as a Sawyer.
Yeah, that's the same guy.
Okay. But those two jobs, it's clear he can do both, but are those two jobs two distinct?
Yeah, they're different.
Trades?
The Sawyer
Okay.
is somebody who operates a saw.
Mm-hmm.
A millwright is generally somebody who maintains the saws and the machinery and forklifts and things. And
Okay.
like a lot of us, he wears a lot of hats around here, including.
I was gonna say. Cool. Okay, great. And we saw him in the video as well.
Yep.
Question here from a business teacher. What form of business ownership is your business?
We are a corporation, an S Corp.
An S Corp. Great. I don't even know a follow-up question to ask that because I'm not a business student.
LLC.
Got it.
Sole proprietorship, which when I was just myself, and then an LLC, and now an S Corp.
Okay, cool. Way to know the answer to that. What is the biggest purchase order you guys have ever received? And you don't have to talk about dollar amount, but maybe you could describe the project.
It's the current one we're working on for that designer. It's a lot. Like just the chairs between now and March, I think it's close to 700 chairs. So there's 100 coffee tables in there, 50 upholstered benches, a bunch of dining tables.
Whoa.
And that's the first quarter of the year.
And those have to happen and go out in March.
If not sooner.
Oh,
We have monthly deadlines. That's through March.
wow. Do you have any idea how that designer found you guys, or that lifestyle brand found you all?
Yeah, she found us through a wholesale showroom that we're a part of in LA. It's specifically for customers like her. One of her people came in as a buyer looking for somebody to help develop a furniture line. And it's something we spoke to her initially, I think over 2 years ago. So it's been something that's been cooking
Wow.
and in the works for a while. And earlier in this year, we were just doing some sampling and some real small things. And now it's finally picking up into some big purchase orders.
Right. Yeah, and that's a relationship that's paying off big time. 2 years in the making, but that's pretty cool. So, hypothetical, say I needed a dining room table and 4 chairs. How long, once I placed my order with you guys, how long would it take me to receive those things?
Well, a lot of it depends on our current workload.
Mhm.
Usually, maybe we have it in stock in our showroom. We sell things right off the showroom floor. Usually, we're like 4 to 6 weeks for a lead time turnaround. Right now, it'd probably be more than that. We're pretty busy. We not only the big design project that we're doing, but we have like 2 hotels in the works and 2 other big projects. So we're a ways out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, currently it's 8 to 10 weeks for our custom projects.
That's still not that long for custom furniture. That's a pretty impressive timeline or turnaround time. Do you have a partner with businesses on certain projects? Do you have a partner with businesses on certain projects?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of other local vendors we use that I would call partners. We do like all of our steel work. We send to a powder coater, and we work very closely with him. Not an official partner, but I feel like we operate that way a lot of times. Olivia works with a lot of other vendors and suppliers, and we have great relationships with our paint supplier, our finish supplier, and some of our other materials suppliers. I've been on the phone all morning with leather suppliers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you collaborate a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
So our next, tomorrow actually, is our Working Wednesday webinar, and the skill that we're going to tackle is collaboration. And I've heard that come up at least 3 times in this Q&A. So it sounds like it's a pretty fundamental skill when it comes to working in your industry.
Yeah, even in-house, we all have to collaborate together. The 3 of us, are 3 of 10 or 12 people here. We each do totally different jobs, but they all go together. Like we are all talking all day, every day, and collaborating amongst ourselves to get not only the furniture built, but the shipping figured out and the marketing and all those times. We each have our own timelines that we're trying to work together on the same project.
Yeah.
So lots of collaboration.
Lots of opportunities for collaboration. Love it.
Right.
Every project is kind of like a swirl, and eventually everyone kind of just gets picked up in that swirl before it leaves,
So true.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's an upward swirl, not a
Yeah.
down
spiral. Another question is, your price point is pretty high because you are a custom furniture manufacturer, but it looks like in this dragging economy, you're still doing really well. What would you attribute to that?
I think it's a lot of that resiliency, like we talked about, and being able to do whatever we need to do to stay busy and to grow the company and keep people employed. Just like this big order we're taking on, it's not a really high-end custom residential job. It's a high-quantity job at a lower price.
Yeah.
And we also do all kinds of things. We have some lower price items and some small items as well. And we're just try to stay nimble and resilient enough to do whatever we need to do to keep the company going. And that's been a theme over the last 15 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm sure too, as your team grows, that responsibility, I feel it grows with it. So that makes sense. What is your business? Oh, sorry, Nick.
Also incorporating payment plans into like our online store. There's some pretty unique new companies that are popping up as well. So it's like you might not be able to afford $1,000 piece of furniture right now, but you can work with this company that works with us to create a payment plan for you.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Nice addition. Thank you. What is your business doing about the coronavirus pandemic? So I guess I would say, like, how did you guys adapt after you opened back up? And how long were you closed?
Well, our showroom is actually still currently closed to the public, just open by appointment only. Our shop was a pretty minimal operation. It was just me and one other guy in the back in the shop for, I think, around 4 months. And some of the front of house staff was working part-time and from home as we ramped up. We're essentially all back now, but showroom is still closed to the public.
Yeah.
Appointment and calls.
That makes sense. So I'm going to put out a call to the students. We can take about 2 more questions. So if you have anything that you have been waiting to ask, now is the time to do it. Can students job shadow at Urban Lumber?
Probably. We haven't really done that, but I'd be open to it with the right candidate. Our challenge is that the shop is a dangerous place, so we have to make sure that it's safe and that we are under a lot of deadlines. So, we have to be careful about, not slowing down too much back there in the shop.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of skills that could be learned and job shadowed, and we'd definitely be open to it.
Can you maybe allude to what types of jobs students might be able to see if they were to job shadow there, aside from Nick and Olivia's?
Sure. Well, in the back, we are dealing with logs and trees and chainsaws, trucks, and those are big things. We're dealing with woodworking, so all the shop tools and working with your hands to create products. Got the leather, and upholstery, metalworking, got finishing. So those are just some of the skills in the shop. Then both of what these guys do up front, design and media. We also have salespeople, and I think that's a valuable life skill, or pretty much any kind of a job skill, whether you're selling a product or selling yourself or your own services. Sales and marketing is huge. That's always something.
Yeah. Cool. So a lot of diverse jobs. That's pretty awesome. The question I see here says, does it ever feel like you're growing too much or too fast?
Yeah, it does sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah. You just never know. There's definitely, that could happen. I think there's probably a sweet spot somewhere where the company doesn't get too big. None of us work here, we don't want to work in a big corporate environment.
Totally.
Trying not to get there. We want to put out a good product and know each other well. So I think we're pretty close to that. I think we're at a pretty good spot. We try not to go too fast or too big.
Nice. Awesome. Well, looks like the chat box that was alive and popping the whole time has quieted down. So I'm going to take this as an opportunity to thank you all. And we hope, students, that you tune in not next week because we're going to take a break, but the week following. So on the 20th, we are going to do the live Q&A with Emerald Broadband, a local internet service provider. But thank you so much, Seth, Nick, Olivia, for spending time with us and for letting us in to film that tour this summer.
I'd like to add one more thing. I
Please.
did like one of the questions, and I don't think we covered it.
No, I think I got to maybe 3 of the prepared questions because everybody had so many, which is great.
What could students do right now
Yes.
while still in school to better prepare themselves for a job in this industry?
Yep.
Something struck me reading that question was I use a website in college called lynda.com. That's lynda.com. And it's free for students as long as you just prove that you're enrolled in a school. But they have amazing classes online that you just watch videos of, 20-year experts. You can learn about architecture, you could learn about project coordination, you could learn about photography, media, design. It's really brilliant. And like, I know you can go on YouTube now and pretty much find anything, but when I was in college, I was going to lynda.com to learn things that I wasn't learning in school. It's really clutch and free. So
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you so much for jumping in to say that, because what an awesome resource. So lynda.com, lynda.com. Okay, everybody check it out. All right, anything else before I end this meeting for everybody?
Well, thanks for having us.
No?
yeah.
Yeah, thank
Awesome. Thank you both, or all 3 of you. Thank you. Okay, see you later. Bye guys.